Welcome to our Rustic Pathways presentation. My name is Jessie Wachter. I am a Global Programs Advisor for Rustic Pathways. Let's go ahead and flip to the next slide. I am here. I typically work with families to find the best fit program, and I am here most days. If you have any other questions at the end of this presentation, if we didn't answer all of your questions, please feel free to give us a call during the day, and me and my colleagues are happy to help. I have been with Rustic Pathways for about 10 years now. It seems hard to believe, but I've worked in various countries around the world, in Thailand, Mongolia, China, Peru, India, Morocco, and I am happy to help out any of our programs across the world. So please feel free as we go through this presentation to write your questions into the chat box. I will be answering them behind the scenes as our panel points out their favorite programs. Just to go over briefly what we'll be talking about in this call, I'm going to go into a little bit about Rustic Pathways, some of the history for those of you who are new and have not heard about us before. We have our no anxiety policy. We have the meat of our program, which is our staff picks of our most popular programs. And like I said, at the end of this session, we will have time for questions and answers. So please feel free to use that questions box, and we will get to them at the end of the presentation. And then when you sign off, there will actually be a survey that pops up on your screen. We welcome any and all feedback. If this was helpful, or if you had more questions that didn't get answered, let us know, and we can reach out to you after the presentation. So Rustic Pathways, we see ourselves as the intersection between education, travel, and philanthropy. We have been around for about 35 years now. We have nearly 100 programs in about 20 different countries around the world, and we really specialize in service. We feel that travel should be an integral part of every student's education, and service is a priority, something that we feel is something very important in teaching students how to be global citizens. Our no anxiety policy means we understand that there is a lot going on in students' lives. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and you can't always know what's going to be happening this summer. Our no anxiety policy means that without any reason, you can cancel your program and escrow those funds for up to 2 years. So let's say your student is in a soccer league and they make it to the championship and they're unable to travel with us, or unfortunately there's a family emergency. Whatever the reason it is, we know that these things come up, and we want to make sure that travel is accessible to all families no matter what comes up during your summer travels. So we allow you to escrow these funds for up to 2 years. Just keep that in mind when you're thinking about making that commitment. And now we have a fantastic panel joining us. I'll go into who is online today, and they're going to talk about their favorite programs. A very common question we get is, what are your most popular programs at Rustic Pathways? And it's kind of a trick question. Here we have a couple of our staff that are going to talk about their favorite programs and why they're their favorites, but really it comes down to the students' interests and what is the best fit program for them. Tonight we will be joined by Brian Haggerty, our Thailand Country Director, Mark Mankowski, our USA Country Director, Alejo Romero, who's our Australia Program Manager, and Sang Hung York, Cambodia Program Manager. And first up is Australia.
Cool. Good day, everyone. My name is, well, people know me as Alejo, but my name is actually Alejandro. As Jessie just said, I am in Australia. I'm currently the country manager here. I've been in Australia for 6 years now. I'm originally from Colombia. That's why that name doesn't really sound very Australian. Yeah, I started working with Rustic Pathways back in 2011 and found Australia the coolest place on earth, so decided to move here. I've been very lucky. I've led every single program there is in Australia, and I'm going to talk about the AUSSIE, which is one of my ultimate favorite ones. So what is AUSSIE Service Adventure? This program is awesome for students that want to get to feel the true Aussie lifestyle. So it's a program that's based on the Sunshine Coast area, which is north from Brisbane. and it's a great opportunity to get to know how Australians live both in rural areas and in the sort of beach areas as well. This program is open, it's good for any kind of person, like if you're adventurous, if you like to travel a lot, or you just want to, if you're used to traveling a lot, or if this is your first time, it's a great opportunity because you stay in base houses most of the times, very comfortable places. The first base house we stay is owned by Rustic Pathways in the middle of the mountains, and then you move to a beach base house where you sort of go out every day and do surfing and why not. When it comes to sort of the activities of this program, they're focused on both like learning skills like surfing and camping outside sort of in a bush farm that we have, and it also sort of focuses on service a lot. So we work with local schools around here, around the Arran Sunshine Coast, and then you also work with special needs children and why not. When it comes to sort of like how you're going to be eating and why not, you cook here in Australia. Students are sort of very, we try to include everyone into the daily activities. Cooking is one of those. Beautiful base houses allow us to, you know, have the kitchens to do Aussie meals and why not. Yeah, I reckon that's all I can say about Aussie Service Adventure. Beautiful place to get to know the Sunshine Coast, sunny all the time. It's like the Florida of Australia. Now, the second program that I want to talk about is the Epic Outback. This program is, I would say, my top favorite program in Australia. Like most of the people, when they think about Australia, they either think about like the big cities, surfing, and then there's this mystic word, the Outback, right? No one really knows what the Outback is, but it's kind of like, oh, a cool thing that comes out every time we talk about Australia, right? So this program is about you going out there and really feeling what it means to live out in the desert, what it means to, you know, sort of be in the Australian Outback. If you're not keen, as we say here in Australia, to sort of get dirty and why not, maybe this is not a program for you, because this program involves lots of traveling in car, like long car rides, beautiful scenic rides though, and you're going to be out there where it's fairly hot and humid all the time. You'll be cooking in campfires most of the nights, and yeah, but you get to work with a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Australian indigenous communities. You get to visit one of the most iconic places in Australia, the Punalulu National Park, the Eastern Kimberley's region. It's an incredible, incredible place to go and see. Just a fun fact out there, only 2% of the Australians get to visit that place in this country, so it's a very, very beautiful, unique place to go and visit. So yeah, I guess, you know, like the first option would be for people that are more comfortable in sort of urban areas and like stationary programs. This one is a little bit more rustic. It's more about going out there, camping, sleeping in under the stars, cooking over the fire, and exploring the outdoors. Yeah, that's all I have to say basically about the Epic Outback. I think that's all I have to say. Yeah.
Thanks, Alejo. Next up, we have Sang Hong. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Sang Hong. I'm a program manager for Cambodia, and this is going to be my 5th summer with Rustic Pathway, and I still find it very interesting and a unique experience to be able to connect students to our Cambodian society. Here in Cambodia, I do lead a couple of programs, and of course, one of my 2 favorite programs in Cambodia is the Cambodia Children Projects. Talking about the Cambodia Children Projects, I think that this is one among many programs that our students get to learn about the history of Cambodia, specifically the genocide, and they see the impacts to our society. And then our students going to spend their week working alongside with our partner organization in Cambodia called BSDA, who doing an amazing job to support hundreds of children, Cambodian children, to go back to education, to go back to school. To be a bit more simply, our students going to work on youth enrichment project, for example, the cultural exchange, English class, conversation, games, and skill, with the student that living in the center that support by the organization. And at the same time, our student also got to do infrastructure projects. So student kind of get mixture of experiences. The children project is a best house program. So the best house is located not very far from the center that our students are working in. And in terms of food, at the best house, we have such an amazing cook who cooks very authentic Cambodian food and also some Western dishes as well. I guarantee that you guys are going to love the food in Cambodia. Also, we do have ping pong and cornhole set up at the best house. So after service projects, students get to hang out and play a couple games at the best as well. Regarding the travel, I think we do have a 2-hour drive from the capital to Kampong Cham, the city that we are working in, and also a long drive one from Kampong Cham to the last city. It took about 5 hours. And the next program that is one of my most favorite as well is Snapshot of Southeast Asia. I think that Snapshot of Southeast Asia is a very unique opportunity, and I believe it's the right choice for students who are willing to improve their photography skill. Also, if they have never done photography before, I think it's a good start for them to sign up for this program and start to learn photography skill, by the way. So we have a professional photographer working alongside with them, and this program is cool because we got to travel through different countries, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, and they got opportunity to visit communities and got assignments, and they got to capture things and moments that we have never done before. So I think it's a very cool opportunity. So as I mentioned, that this program runs through 3 different countries. So students got to learn different culture, try different foods, got to learn different languages. So they kind of learn about Cambodian, about Laos, about Vietnam, and also they also improve their photography skill. So I think this is one of the coolest and one of my favorite.
Great. Thanks, Sing Hong. I'll take it from here. So talking about Thailand, my name is Brian Haggerty. I'm the Thailand director. I've been with Rustic Pathways for, this will be my 12th summer now, a long time. So we've come a long way in that time. But some things have certainly stayed the same. And I'm proud to say that a lot of my coworkers and the people all around me have actually been with Rustic Pathways for the last 10 years plus. So I think that's always a good sign. I started off leading programs once upon a time, and I've been the director for a few years now. We've seen some of our projects really grow and develop, and I'm going to be talking about some of our larger programs and some of our longest standing and most impactful programs with you this evening. The first one that we're going to talk about, this is called RICEFIELDS, Monks and Smiling Children. This program is based at our RICEFIELDS service base, which really is more like a campus than anything else. It's somewhat similar to a summer camp, but it's also set right in the middle of a very rural part of northeastern Thailand. So in a way, you've got all of your modern amenities, ranging from air conditioning, proper beds, an internet cafe, a coffee shop, a soccer field, volleyball, a gym, swimming pool, ping pong, basically anything you could hope for. And then if you walk just outside, we do have security on premises as well, but you can walk outside and you're just in the middle of a really awesome Thai village dirt roads and chickens scurrying across the street, and it's just a very endearing place. And the location of this place really enables us to do some really powerful service. We have 8 initiatives that we work on year-round. This is also, this base, we can house up to 120 students at this place, so just to give you an idea of the size. But we actually have groups coming in there year-round, and what that enables us to do is keep an ongoing relationship with all of the villages and keep our service projects going throughout the year. So when we go into places, people know us, we're welcomed by the community, they know exactly who we are and what we're doing, and have a very nice community feeling when you're in the villages. And I think that's really what distinguishes Rustic Pathways from many other organizations, and especially at a program like this. So that, yeah, that's Rustic Pathways in Thailand. And the 1-week version of this program is called Introduction to Community Service. So that's this one here. The main back program housed at the same place, doing the same service. The intro program is only 1 week long, whereas the RICEFIELDS program, RICEFIELDS Marks the Smiling Children, that one's 2 weeks long. And the main difference, when you stay for 2 weeks, you actually have a chance to do, we call it a side trip, so you can actually fly down to Phuket on the 2nd weekend or go out to Laos. And that's just part of the program. You do have to pay extra. You don't have to commit until you get there, but the prices are very fair, and it really makes it a dynamic experience. The next program, this is called the Rustic Pathways Children's Home. This is our other large program in Thailand, and this is on the opposite side of the country. So we're talking the northwest part of the country, and this is quite close to the Myanmar border. And so the Rustic Pathways Children's Home, this is a place where we house approximately 30 students each year who are attending middle school and high school at like a regional school right here. And all of them are living away from their parents. They come from very rural places, and for one reason or another, like in villages in Thailand, you can go, a lot of places have elementary schools that are within a reasonable walking distance, but if the children want to go on and study middle school, study high school, and have the chance of higher education, they have to live away from their families at places like this. This is in Mae Sariang. And this project was initiated back in 2007 to address the need of all of these children living away from their parents. They were living in quite, dire situation. Not a whole lot of food going around, no extra money anywhere. So we jumped in, we built this facility, and we just try to help the burden and help take care of these children. We give them life skills training, we teach them English, and it's been an extremely successful program. All of the schools in the area benefit. We raise money and awareness for all of them. We teach at all these schools, and they've all seen marked improvement in English and in the number of children who are A, going to universities, and B, who are getting scholarships to do so. So it's a very cool program. Living conditions here are a lot simpler than at the RICEFIELDS base that we just talked about, but they're very clean, and it's pretty comfortable. So students sleep on foam sleeping pads. They're about 4 inches thick. Everybody has a mosquito net, their own, and everybody's got a fan. So it's quite comfortable. No air conditioning. Bathrooms are in a separate building, but they're clean. They're Western-style toilets with hot water. And the food here, like at the RICEFIELDS base, is just fantastic. We cook a lot of food with vegetarian options every single day. They're also able to accommodate gluten-free diets and other sorts of dietary restrictions at the RICEFIELDS base and here at the Children's Home as well. And in terms of service, here at the Children's Home, we do a mix of like lesson planning and education enrichment, and also there's a little bit of hands-on service work as well. So it's a pretty good mix, and otherwise it's basically just immersion into this wonderful place. You live at the same place as the local children, as the 30 local children, in a separate area, but each afternoon there's the chance to play pickup sports with them, and then we have evening activities which are designed for like a cultural exchange. They allow our students to practice English and Rustic Pathway students to learn about their lives and just to share nice moments and and see what it's like to grow up in rural Thailand. And so this is the 1-week version of the program. We do have a 2-week version as well, which is called Life on the Margin. And so for students who are looking to delve just a little bit deeper into all these things, I would highly recommend that program as well. That one spends the first week at the children's home, and the second week is basically along the Thai Myanmar border, where students will have a chance to spend 3 days at a refugee camp, working on a farming and food initiative and learning. We work with a junior college that is actually within the refugee camp. We've got an excellent relationship with them. We're bringing the outside world and bringing the whole world really to that camp, and helping to spread the word about the story of the people in the camp when our students get home. So it's a very cool program. Again, Life on the Margin. And the last one I'm going to talk about here is called Dreams of a Nation. In this program, this is one of our critical issues program for this year, which we're extremely excited about. More of an academic focused type program than getting your hands dirty type program. This is more about really learning, and almost like a collegiate seminar in a lot of ways. This program is unique because you spend about 1 week in Thailand and 1 week in Myanmar. When you arrive, you go directly to the Thai-Myanmar border in a border town called Mae Sot. And there we work with a refugee school. We hear about, we meet with various groups, including political prisoners and people who have come over to Thailand, in various circumstances over the last 20 years or so. And we learned about why they came over, what they were escaping, what their hopes were, what are their hopes now. In the past, it was a big hope of a lot of them to receive asylum from the U.S. Now it's harder. So now we talk, okay, what are your hopes and dreams like now? Are you studying Thai? Are you trying to go somewhere else? Are you trying to get back to Myanmar? And just learning about what their lives are like, and hearing about what their hopes and dreams are, and it's very powerful and extremely inspiring. We meet some amazing communities with very driven individuals who are really doing something with their lives and trying to make a difference. And so that's the first week is on the Thai side, meeting all the removed communities. Then we head up to northern Thailand. We fly down to Bangkok and then up to Chiang Rai. We actually cross into Myanmar up by the Golden Triangle area and go into the eastern Shan state. And up there, we get to see what life is like in extremely rural eastern Myanmar. It's almost like going back 50 years from Thailand in some of these places. People living much like they have for hundreds of years. Serious, not so much technology, and we do have staff who actually come from all of these areas. So we use our staff who speak the local languages to help tell the story of what it's like to come from there, and again, what's their life like? What does healthcare look like? What does education look like? What does the family look like? What's important to them? And just asking all these questions and trying to, through conversation, to really compare the differences of what it means to be a refugee inside of Thailand versus somebody who comes from these rural places that are technically in Myanmar, but very much removed from the control of the country. From there, we move west, and we meet some more groups in the western Shan state before finishing the program down in Yangon, in the capital city, where we kind of tie it all together, look at what the modern Myanmar looks like, the way that the central direction of the country is going, the way the government's going, and just transposing everything all together. So very powerful program, nothing like you'll see and really anywhere else. Extremely unique. Our staff are amazing on all these programs. And they expose our students to the kind of thing that most high school students really don't have the chance to see. All right, now shifting to the United States, Mark.
Thanks, Brian. My name is Mark Rankowski. I've been working with Rustic since 2012, so this will be my 7th summer, believe it or not. It's been a really exciting time. I came from Michigan, didn't get a whole lot of travel experience growing up, so a lot of my experience traveling has been with Rustic Pathways, and it's been just a remarkable experience for me, and it's something I take a lot of pride in when we design and run our programs in the States, is to show a lot of our students who are domestic students traveling in the United States all that the United States has to offer. And I think from these two programs that I'm about to speak about, I think these are two very unique programs that show different parts of the United States that most people either don't visit to or they don't visit, and then they also may not go to certain locations that we do or do the things that we do on our programs. So if you can go ahead, Brian, can click over to the first program, which is the Key Largo Marine Lab. This program is a great opportunity for students to take their learning outside of the classroom and learn more about the ecosystem below the surface of the ocean. Students will have the opportunity to learn more about the different corals that are in the ocean, the fish, etc. And they'll be doing this by taking different field trips out to different coral reefs, and they'll snorkel around, take data points, and come back and learn it back into the lab setting at the Marine Lab campus. A fun little fact is about 5 full-time Rustic Pathways employees grew up in Florida, and they went to the Marine Lab program in either middle school or high school. And when we announced in the company that we're offering up the trip to Marine Lab, they were some of the first ones to volunteer to run the trip. So that was a really positive point for us, knowing that they had a really great experience growing up. We're hopefully going to be able to pass that on to the students this summer. This program is really unique, and I think it's going to be a great fit for both returning and new students for us. It gives most students the opportunity to do things that they have never done before in the traditional high school classroom. The travel on this program is pretty limited. It's just, the students will fly into Miami, and Key Largo is about a 2-hour drive depending on traffic. So just, they'll drive down to Key Largo, stay at the Marine Lab campus throughout the trip, and then on the final night on that Friday, visit and go back to Miami, stay in the hotel, and then fly out the next day. So it's a really exciting trip for us. It's our first summer running this program, but we have really qualified staff, and the Marine Lab staff themselves are, some of the top in the country at teaching students this, everything that goes along with these, ocean programs. The next program I'd like to talk about is our Off the Map Alaska program. This program is just an outstanding experience for the students because it visits places that most travelers never see, and they never get the opportunity, even if they do get the chance to go to Alaska. We go to some pretty remote places throughout the state, or just do things in some of the more populated areas, the Denali National Park, the Seward. We'll do some things that most people don't do if they're on the cruise or if they're just visiting Alaska for a short period of time. A quick story, when we decided to run this program, we did a scouting trip to see what exactly we want to do on the program, and I went with a coworker who is the China country director. Her name is Amanda, and she used to guide for a different company up in Alaska, and she was showing me a few of the different places, and the first place we went to was Denali National Park. We did a short hike, about 4 miles, just inside the park boundaries, and we're sitting up on this ridge, and I was looking at the valley, and it was snow-capped mountains. It was early September, so the seasons were just starting to change, and I turned to her and I said, "Amanda, this is the most beautiful place I've ever been." And without skipping a beat, she turned to me and she said, "Believe it or not, this is going to be the least appealing site that we're going to visit over the next 2 weeks." And she was right. And it's crazy to, if you've ever been to Denali, it sounds crazy, but it's 100% true. Not to take anything away from the park, but the other places that we visit on the program are just some of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. They're postcard worthy throughout the entire trip, and each portion of the trip gets better and better and better. I think this is a great program for returning students, but also, we don't want to discourage new students from, coming on this program, because it gives everybody the same chance to, go outside of their boundaries and push themselves outside of that comfort zone, and do things such as whitewater rafting, ice climbing, hiking in the backcountry, learning camping 101 basics, and learning pro tips from our staff and some of the guides that we work with. Just taking full advantage of every opportunity that Alaska has to offer. And it's just, I call it nature's playground, because it's just absolutely out of this world beautiful in each location that we visit. The food's going to vary on this program. It's a lot of camping. We'll be camping throughout the entire program. So it's a lot of camp-style meals, like the pastas, the chilies. We'll do some barbecue and cooking some meats over the open fire, things like that. This program is travel heavy, but each place that we stop, I keep referring to it. It keeps getting better and better. And for me, I just felt like I was a little kid with my head out the window the entire time when I was up there for the scouting trip. And then, we've been up there this past summer. It's just something where you never want to take a nap in the car because you always want to be looking out the window because you never know if you're going to see a beautiful glacier off in the distance or a remote lake or even a moose that'll be coming across on the road. So I think even for the most experienced traveler, the Off the Map Alaska program is still going to absolutely blow them away. Our staff that ran the trip last year have worked in about 5 or 6 different countries with Rustic, and she said it was the most beautiful trip and one of the most rewarding programs. Each week it was definitely tiring, but she got the most out of her experience, and the students just raved about it through our surveys and through the communications and the discussions that we had on the program. So we encourage as many people to sign up, for this program, but also programs across Rustic Pathways, because they all are unique in their own way, and they offer up a beautiful experience for the students.
Thank you so much, Mark. I, for one, am super jealous of all the staff that have been able to run this program, and from the photos and from the students' reviews, it sounds amazing. So I hope I get up there myself one day. All right, so this wraps up the prime part of our presentation tonight. I just want to mention that we do have a couple upcoming online meetups. Monday, April 17th, we will actually have a presentation called Student Travel Benefits by Age. This is actually going to be hosted by our CEO, Chris Stakich, and he's going to be talking about some of the research work that we have done in conjunction with a couple of graduate students, some fascinating results that we have done, that we've gathered based off of surveys, pre-surveys that we give to students before they take off, surveys after they reach their home after the program, and then they take a third survey again about 6 months later to sort of start to gather information, data on the effects that these programs have on students. Really fascinating stuff. Absolutely do join us for that. Also, you see there, enroll by April 23rd to guarantee. We've actually had some questions about when is the deadline to enroll. We do have a deadline of April 23rd coming up, which is the last date that we can guarantee you a seat on one of our chaperone group flights. That means that we have contracts with the airlines, and some of the airlines do begin releasing these reserved seats on the 23rd. And this is a rolling basis based on the departure date. So after that, you can absolutely still join us, you can still enroll, but it will be a case-by-case basis what programs we still have those chaperone group flights available for. And without further ado, thank you so much for joining us for this half an hour. We do have some time set aside with our all-star panel for questions and answers, so feel free to put those questions into the questions box now. I do have a quick question for Alejo. Can you tell me the biggest difference between your two programs? Those are both 2-week programs. What's the biggest difference between the two that you presented?
So the biggest difference between one program and the other, the OUSSIE service adventure is based on a more sort of urban area, and it doesn't involve that much traveling. So students will be staying in 3 main locations, which they move, every sort of 4 days. The OUTBACK program is all about camping and sort of heavy traveling, lots of driving as well, and it's all sort of based in the outdoors. So the cooking, for example, happens over fires, like you have to build a fire in camp ovens. Students will be camping most of the time. It's either on tents or on swags, which is like a one-man tent that Australians use here for camping purposes. Whereas in the OUSSIE, they would be sleeping, in base houses, in just normal beds, with sort of all the comforts that you would expect to have back home. So that's basically the main difference between one program and the other.
Awesome, thanks. Sang-Hong, could you talk about, you mentioned that we partner with the BSDA. Can you talk a little bit about the partnership and what they do?
Sure. So the organization, the BSDA, So it's a local NGO that established by originally the Cambodian monk back in 2004, I believe. So the aims of organization is to have the neighborhood community to support them in terms of bringing children back to schools and relieve the poverty in the communities. So we Rustic Pathway, we partner with that organization since 2010. So we have we work with them with range of projects from infrastructures improvement and education. So we they are the very good local organization, and our students got to learn their incredible job of helping Cambodia to be to be a better society. And I think that because what happened in Cambodia in last 40 years is it's a nightmare. So our students kind of get to learn and be a part of the process of changes to society. And I think I'm very proud to have our students working with that organization.
Thank you. And yeah, as you notice, we were joined by staff from Australia, who's actually from Colombia. We have our Cambodian staff. We have staff from the U.S. Who spend part of their time in the U.S. and part of the time abroad. We have an incredible variety of staff from all corners of the world, which I think is one of the benefits to traveling with Rustic Pathways. We do try and have local and non-local staff on all of our programs when possible, so that we have that added dynamic of that local flavor, and they often end up being some of those students' favorite staff members when they get to learn the local language and the local cultures in addition to the itinerary. Brian, can you go into a little bit more detail? I know how you have a ton of experience hiring and working with our local staff over there, and talk about our local staff.
Yeah, absolutely. So almost all of the places where we operate, almost all the villages, we actually have staff who come from there or somehow connected with those places. And over the years, we've found, I guess, the way that we've found a lot of our local staff is from these villages. From going in there and establishing relationships and finding the really helpful people and the welcoming families, we have invested in people from very small places, and they have also invested in Rustic Pathways. And really, the result is awesome, because a lot of our staff have been now, they hold international medical certifications. They speak English very well. Culturally, they're just super intelligent. A lot of them have had the chance to visit our operations in other countries to give them important perspective, and they really understand what we're trying to do, and they understand what the benefits are for the communities, and they also understand what the benefits are for our students. And throughout every program that we run, we're always walking that line as perfectly as we can. Obviously, it's an imperfect game, but we always, try to do as good as we can by every community partner that we have. We try to make sure our service projects are great, and a lot of times we expect, especially these days, that our local team is going to be able to manage those relationships and to make sure that we are getting the most out of this that we can. But like I started with, so many of the people who work for Rustic Pathways have been around for years and years and years. It is it's a job that we really care for them, and they really care for us, and they really care for our students. And it's been awesome, to watch people I've known grow up and get married and have children, and now the children are starting to play with Rustic Pathway students, and that it's only a few years before they're going to be a part of our staff family as well. And I just think that it just keeps repeating itself. And at the same way, we have students who come back and after a few years at college and then some awesome experiences abroad, like they apply to be our summer staff, and the perspective that they have, having been a student, having gone to university, having done Peace Corps or whatever they've done, and then coming back because they really want to be a part of the full circle, and they want to share what they had. They want to pay that forward for someone else as well. And just seeing both of those things working together is really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, we have some questions about what types of food are served on certain programs and specific activities. I think we'll keep this to our general questions, then I can definitely email you later about specific programs. But one more question for Mark. One of our families noticed that there is a Florida program for both our high school students as well as middle school ages 12 to 14. Can you talk a little bit about the difference there?
Yes, so the program's going to be exactly the same. However, we feel like the students get the most experience, like the best experience possible when they're grouped up with students in that same age bracket. So that's why we have, a 14 to 18 program, and then also a 12 to 14 for those students that are, transitioning right before high school, to make sure that, they can get the most out of their trip and not feel that, they're the old person on the trip or the young person or anything like that. So it's done strictly to get the students comfortable, to interact with one another, just to take the most out of their program while they're on the trip in Key Largo.
Awesome. And just so you know, we do have 3 Young Explorers programs. We call it for our middle school ages 12 to 14, 2 in the US and 1 in Costa Rica. So definitely check that out if you get students that age. And with that, I think unless we have any other burning questions, I think we'll draw this to a close. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We will follow up with an email to those questions we didn't get to, and have a wonderful evening.